Ledesma Didi, Archbishop of Cagayan de Oro, read his paper. In the afternoon, the papal legate, His Eminence Charles Maung Cardinal Bo, together with Bishop Milo Hubert Vergara, Archbishop Piero Marini, Archbishop Jose Palma, Reverend Father Vittorio Bocardi, and Reverend Father Jose Kilong S.J., held a press conference at the Media Center. When asked about his message for the participants of the Congress, Cardinal Bo responded by reiterating his homily during the opening Mass.
We should declare a third world war against poverty, We prepare missiles to send missiles of charity and missiles of sharing.
Gained an applause from the media for his humility and humor. The afternoon schedule gave the local and foreign participants ample time to visit a few parishes here in Cebu. The Eucharistic Congress delegates went to their designated parishes to celebrate Mass with the parishioners. There were also cultural presentations held in separated venues to give the participants a touch of Filipino culture. In Cebu Metropolitan Cathedral, talents from Cebu Metropolitan Grand Choir and San Diego Dance Company entertained the Australian delegations and other pilgrims through music and dance. This has been another success for the 51st International Eucharistic Congress. Bringing to you the events here in Cebu, Fry Robin Ross Plata OAR, CBCP Media, and Recoletos Communications.
History continues to unfold here in Cebu City as the 51st International Eucharistic Congress reaches the 5th day, which is the start of the second half of this week-long assembly.
The Eucharistic Congress is attracting even more participants than in the past days. The Bishop of Davao, Most Reverend Romulo Valles Didi, led the morning praise. He exhorted the delegates in his brief yet humorous sharing to be the beam of light in the world. Manila Archbishop, His Eminence Luis Antonio Cardinal Tagle, TD, delivered a powerful catechesis in the Eucharist and the dialogue with cultures. In his conference, he presented some signs or criteria by which to evaluate the kind of culture we have, such as pace, language, system of reward and punishment, heroes, rituals, dances, movements, food, and time. He also spoke of cultural intelligence or cultural quotient as an important requirement for the dialogue with cultures. But he reserved his strongest words in condemning a throwaway culture, which for him stems from an equally deplorable culture of accumulation. Following Cardinal Douglas' catechetical conference, a layman from Afunato City, Japan, Mr. Keiichi Sugawara gave a moving testimony of his faith, especially in the aftermath of the worst tsunami that hit Japan on March 11, 2011. He stressed that the unfortunate event was not a punishment from God, but a faith experience and a reminder that whatever would happen, God will always be with them. His Eminence, Peter Cardinal Erdo, D.D., of the Diocese of Esztergom, Budapest, presided the Holy Mass. In his homily, he underscored that Christians, being the salt of the earth, have the duty of protecting the world from decay. He added that the world needs Christ and that the world also needs Christians, only if Christians belong to Christ. In the afternoon press conference, Cardinal Tagle reiterated the relevance of cultural intelligence in promoting church missions. Furthermore, he said that contemporary culture, despite the digital and virtual world that it creates, still needs to see reality and authenticity of personal lives, which the Eucharistic culture offers. Later, Most Reverend Socrates Villegas, D.D., led the penitential services, as a way to connect Eucharist to the theme of God's mercy. He appealed to the laity for the misdemeanors some pastors had committed. Making the penitential services even more meaningful was the sacrament of reconciliation. A large number of pilgrims and delegates lined up for confession.
5 days of history has been written, and history continues writing itself as the 51st International Eucharistic Congress continues on here in Cebu City. For CBCP Media and Recolados Communications, this is Fray Jezreel Marcha OAR reporting.
Time flies so fast here in Cebu City. We are now on the 6th day of the 51st International Eucharistic Congress.
Most Reverend Reynaldo Evangelista, D.D., led the morning prayers together with the Filipino Agustinian Recollect friars. In his short homily, he said that we should not fear because Jesus manifests in our weakness in our strength. Each time we celebrate the breaking of the bread, we come to understand that Jesus is most vulnerable simply to empower and strengthen us in our weakness. As Jesus is for us, so much we be for others. Christ in the Holy Eucharist broken and shared is our strength and our hope of glory. In the morning session, His Eminence John Cardinal Onaikan D.D., the Archbishop of Abuja, gave a catechesis to the delegates with the theme, The Eucharist, Dialogue with the Poor and the Suffering. In his conference, he stressed that the Eucharist became the source of courage for Christians under persecution for the sake of Christ. The General Assembly of the World Federation of the Eucharist, Works of the Church, was held simultaneously at Seminario Mayor de San Carlos Auditorium. Afterwards, Miss Maria Georgia Cogtas delivered her moving testimony. She said, no material things could replace or repair her broken self, but with communion, coming together with the poor, her broken life is now restored and healed. Her involvement in the development programs for the street children is the gift she has received, and it can never be taken away. The Archbishop of Mumbai, His Eminence Oswald Cardinal Gracias D.D., was not able to attend. In his place, Bishop Dominic Hala D.D., Archbishop of Shillong, India, read the paper of Cardinal Gracias entitled, The Eucharist in the Church Dialogue with Religions. In his paper, Cardinal Gracias emphasized the significance of Eucharistic values, the foundation for dialogue with cultures and religions. The Most Reverend Jose Palma, Archbishop of Cebu and President of the 51st International Eucharistic Congress, led the press conference, along with Most Reverend Milo Hubert Vergara, D.D., Chairman of the IEC for Communications Department. This time, the panelists included the IEC lay witnesses, Miss Mary Sahindron of Thailand, Miss Marian Servaas of Belgium, and Miss Maria Georgia Cogtas of the Philippines. In the afternoon, there were 2 sessions for the deaf track held at the Seminario Mayor de San Carlos Auditorium. The speakers were Mary Omiara and Father William Byrne. Mary Omiara delivered her talk with the theme, That They All May Be One, Virtual Learning Opportunities and Social Media for Deaf Ministry, while Father William Byrne talked about ministering where no birds sing, creating welcome in our parishes. Most Reverend Diarmuid Martin, D.D. of Dublin, presided the celebration of the Holy Eucharist at the Cebu Capitol building, with hundreds of concelebrating bishops and priests. Culminating the day's activities was a procession of the Blessed Sacrament. Thousands of Catholic faithful joined the procession, which was a 3.4-kilometer stretch from Cebu Capitol building to Plaza Independencia. The huge crowd that attended the procession stalled traffic in the city, bringing everything to a halt for about 3 hours.
It has been another inspiring and blessed day for everyone. Until our next coverage of the 51st International Eucharistic Congress, For CPCP Media and Recoletos Communications, this is Fry Kenneth Caligdong OAR reporting.
The 51st International Eucharistic Congress here in Cebu City is now on its second to the last day. Pilgrims from all over the world are still filled with fervor and energy to hear the catechism on the Holy Eucharist. Archbishop Angel Lagdameo Didi of the Archdiocese of Haro opened the day presiding the morning praise. Pilgrims in the pavilion sang with the members of the congregation of the pious disciples of the Divine Master. In his brief homily, Archbishop Lagdameo exhorted the pilgrims to become a Eucharistic community, weaving the tapestry of love. The Archbishop of the Archdiocese of New York, His Excellency Timothy Cardinal Dolan Didi, energetically shared his reflection on the topic, the Eucharist and Mary. Cardinal Dolan presented the Eucharist as a sacrifice, meal, and presence from another perspective, this time in the light of Mary's life. If you want to be closer to Jesus at the cross, be close to Mary, for she was there at the foot of the cross, Cardinal Timothy said. As a meal, the Eucharist is a family meal where Mary, our mother, is present. Mary also plays a role on Christ's presence in the Eucharist. The Incarnation happens every time the Mass is celebrated. After a well-uploaded catechesis by Cardinal Timothy Dolan, Mr. J.R. Felicilda Librando, composer of the official theme song of the 51st International Eucharistic Congress, sang his own composition. Sharing her voice of hope from Thailand, Ms. Salindhorn Mativakranon testified on her life experience. For decades, she was hiding as a fugitive as she was falsely accused of a crime that she did not commit. After some time, she realized that if she wanted to continue living, she would have to learn how to forgive. At present, she is now an evangelizer to the business circle, the judiciary, and even to politicians and the military. The whole pavilion gave Miss Salindhorn a standing ovation after her faith testimony. In the afternoon, thousands of children received the body of Christ for the first time. His Eminence Ricardo Cardinal Vidal Didi, Archbishop Emeritus of Cebu, who was also a first communicant during the 33rd International Eucharistic Congress in Manila in 1937, presided the Children's Mass at Cebu City Sports Center. To wrap up the day's events, organizers treated both local and foreign delegates to a Sinulog Festival. Winners from this year's Sinulog sa Kabataan staged their ritual dance in honor of Señor Santo Niño. It has been a grace-filled day for all the participants of this International Eucharistic Congress. For CBCP Media and Recoletos Communications, this is Fry Robin Ross Plata, OAR, reporting.
Sometimes we complain. Life's getting too difficult.
Ito, mahirap na magpaaral ng mga bata dahil mataas ang matrikula.
Hirap ng buhay. Ang mahal-mahal ng bilhin, dito mataas ang sahod.
Ang hirap-hirap nga ng buhay, dagdag pirisyo itong traffic na to.
But for those who face life's challenges with the eyes of faith, there's no asking why.
Mine is not the reason why, mine is but to do or die.
Meet our friend Joe Milish, now a retired officer from the U.S. Marine Corps. Joe lived a fairly normal childhood, and was raised as a Catholic in a predominantly non-Catholic state.
I was born and raised in Salt Lake City, Utah. I attended Catholic grade school and high school and was taught early to defend my faith, as Salt Lake City is predominantly Mormon and they're a very aggressive group.
Life was tough for him, but growing up can be tougher.
My father died when I was 16 years old, and I began dating, and I joined going to church. And at 18, 4 months after my 18th birthday, I was in Vietnam for 20 months. Never attended Mass again. During 1985, during an extremely hard time, I walked into a Catholic church in Southern California, and they were praying the Divine Office. It was such a healing experience, what I heard. It just touched my soul, and I had to know more. So when they were finished, I asked them what it was they were reading, and they told me, and I went out and bought a Divine Office and began praying it daily from that point on. I was an air crew on a CH-46 helicopter, and I would fly with the Divine Office in my pocket so that I could pray while we were in flight. It was after a long and cleansing confession in 1985 that I made my communion, coming back into the church and to my Lord. It was such a beautiful experience after so long a time. In 1987, while out at sea, we were serving in the Western Pacific on a ship. The Navy chaplain trained me and commissioned me an extraordinary minister of the Eucharist. My faith continued to grow ever deeper, and in 1998 I took my son to Europe, where we visited the Vatican and the Marian shrines of Italy and France. And it was at Lourdes where we were told that at some time in our life, later, if not now, there would be a healing. And in 1999, in November, they discovered I was developing cancer of the esophagus. And to make a long story short, in May of 2000, they successfully and miraculously removed all of the problem. All of the cancer was gone. And I was healed.
Now that he's grown up and has grown white beard as well, he is facing a new challenge: tough love. And tough love means taking his faith seriously.
I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I pray the office. I meditate until 6 o'clock Mass.
After his morning prayers and meditation, he leaves home and heads to a nearby church for Mass. In this Church of the Immaculate Conception in the Diocese of Cubao, Philippines, Joe has found a new home. After Mass, he finds quiet time in adoring the Blessed Sacrament in this chapel. Back home, he spends some more quiet time reading spiritual books.
I am presently married to a most wonderful woman in the world. She's a little Filipino woman. She's my guardian angel. We are everywhere together. We're never really apart, very seldom.
Life may be tough, but love is tougher.
For me, I must go to Mass every day. When I don't miss because of traveling or sickness, I feel like I have missed visiting the most wonderful friend there is in the universe.
And when love is centered on the Eucharist, happiness is just easy to come by. That's our friend Joe.
Happy to be Catholic.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Please be seated for the homily.
Ani, kamusta pag-aaral mo?
Okay lang po.
Inayos mo ba?
Opo.
Iwasan mo muna yung barkada, pag-aaral mo nang unahin. Ikaw, Jay, kamusta pag-aaral mo?
Okay lang po.
Inaayos mo ba?
Opo.
Gusto ko makatapos kayo ng pag-aaral, kahit mahirap.
Christ, the mission. If we don't seek Christ, the mission, that is to say, the one sent to us, futile has been our participation in the International Eucharistic Congress. And the third thing I wish to extend to you as a form of welcome is, let us be aware, we are now 17 years old. We are ripe for a life in the university. We are now 17 years old as a province. We cannot remain on the college level. We have to proceed to the university. We have to grow. And all these activities which we shall celebrate this very morning should encourage us. Let us look back to what happened 12 or 18 years ago. The past 3 and 2 general chapters. What were the concerns of the church? Which concerns of the church should encourage us to do something more about the way we live and the way we serve the people of God? What happened really in the celebration of the International Eucharistic Congress? Isn't it a confirmation of the love of God for us? The God who is present, the God who realizes the promise that He will save us, the God who summons us to go to the missions, to bring Christ to others. 3 things I wish to extend to you, 3 things as a form of welcome. We do this because we love you. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Father Larlar. Just an announcement. For those who have registered with their email address, we will be sending to you through the net some of the IEC 2016 Symposium, catechesis, and witnessing articles for your personal growth. Enjoy reading.
On October 2, 2016, the 55th General Chapter of the Order of Augustinian Recollects will commence. Foremost of the agenda is the theme on revitalization and restructuring of the order. The preparations for this chapter have been long and tedious. The pre-capitular fathers or commission has already held their first meeting last January 12 to 15, 2016.
And to give us updates on the said preparations, we present to you one of the 8 appointed members of the Pre-Capitular Commission. Please welcome the Prior of San Sebastian Community de Manila, Reverend Father Rene Paglinawan, OAR.
Good morning. The more I watch the presentation, the more I congratulate the team, has done it very well. And also, the more inadequate I feel because while we are watching this very nice presentation, I realize that my presentation is not even a PowerPoint presentation. Hanggang Word document lang talaga ako. And also, parang intellectually, you feel that you are visiting the whole universe. You see the marvel of the universe. Now you have to go back home, no, to your own small home. And how do you translate what the vision that you have seen into something effective for our home, which is small, which is our family? And I see the connection there. So I thank the organizers for making me seeing it in this. I know that the whole theme is about the Eucharist, but I guess it is because how do we translate the beautiful vision, the nice catechesis that we have received, the tremendous feeling of being Catholic? How do you translate that into our being Augustinian recollects at this moment of our history? So that is my presentation. Ganyan lang ha? Sorry na lang ha? Okay. So, as mentioned already, the 55th General Chapter has been convoked last September 12, and it will start October 2 in Rome. And also in preparation for that chapter, which happens every 6 years, there is a pre-capitular commission that was named, and we had our first meeting in Rome from 12 January to 15th January. This talk is based on the letter that the commission is sending to all the religious, a letter accompanied by a consultation. It's dated 15th January, but because of some siguro not very effective communication, some corrections also, hindi pa po napadala sa inyo. But one of these days, it will be sent digitally to all those who have email addresses. And also, on the way na ang printed copies of the report of the Father General together with the letter and the consultation, which will also be given to all the religious. Of course, the SARF and the Recoleta sisters, because you are a member of the family, even if you are not going to receive the report of the General or the letter of the Commission, nevertheless, your role, we invite you to pray for the success of the chapter in the sense of talagang concretizing. How do we put into concrete daily living all the beautiful experiences that we have had? No? The role of the Pre-Capitular Commission is to make the brothers aware of the importance of the chapter, to encourage the brothers' participation, and to prepare work instrument, or a draft, a document based on the study made by the General Council and the responses of the religious. Doon po kayo papasok, mga responses ng mga religious to the survey. Short survey. It's not, don't be afraid, because it's not a long survey that you have had for the past years already, na talagang daming mga pahina. No? So, the aim is that the chapter that is going to start on October 2 will really reflect the views of the brothers. Hindi lang po yung small segments, small sectors, but all the brothers will be allowed to share their views and make that chapter really participatory for all, so that we can imitate Jesus more in the present times through our charism. So during our meeting, we decided that we will not confuse the brothers with more service, in order to look out for what other possibilities can we find out, priorities, because we have already identified it through the last years of surveys, of work, of meetings, various departments, various sectors of the order, so that the basis of our questionnaire will be on the report of the Father General. Father told that has been already sent, no? You have received that already. Father Conti said that a few days ago he received the report in English already, digital. The printed copies are also on the way. So that's the basis, because the General intended it to be a document for reflection, a tool for discussion. It's not only for reflection, but for discussion of the communities. No? And so because it's not a perfect document, he invites the brothers to enrich that report from our awareness, from our experiences, from our awareness of the challenges near and far that the order is facing. At the end of that report, there are 10 radical and challenging proposals, which can be reduced into 2 major tasks, namely, how do we channel and continue the revitalization and restructuring process, and how do we prepare a direction setting, life and mission project of the order. Is a lamp. It has to be a bright lamp so that it will not limp. No? Pag hindi nagba-bright, then it will limp. So it has to be a lamp, which precisely are the tasks of the Pre-Capitular Commission. So these are therefore the areas of the work of the Commission, wherein we encourage the brothers to participate no longer through beautiful insights, no longer through reflections, because that has been done already, that has been collated, that has been surveyed already. But how do we make this specific? How do we make this with timetable? How do we make this with persons responsible? Okay, the two areas are the process of restructuring and the preparation of the Order's Life and Mission Project. So you are receiving, you're going to receive, I already received my envelope for the community of San Sebastian. This is supposed to be protocol number 8, 2016, wherein the religious are invited by the Father General to vote on the most appropriate of 3 proposals, which the letter explains. 3 proposals of restructuring the order. Of course, we have to make clear that the decision is not majority of the religious, but it has to be the general chapter that will decide on this. But nevertheless, we need, or the chapter needs to anticipate all possible challenges, all possible approaches, all possible difficulties, so as to facilitate the continuity of this process of revitalization. That's why from the experience of the brothers will be able to share, oy, may problema tayo dito, may problema tayo sa timetable, may problema tayo sa restructuring. Some will say there can be problems in the Constitution about that. So that's why we are asking the brothers, try to think about what are the possible implications of the restructuring according to one or the second or the third of the proposals. And then the second area is the preparation of the lamp, life and mission. So the present lamp, which was given to each religious, proposes that in the next chapter, in the 55th chapter, the determinations, the usual determinations, would change in format so that it would have goals, responsibilities, and time frame. Of course, for us Filipinos, parang, ngayon lang natuklasan yan, because we are used to this already for the past 20 or 25 years. No, that's how we do the planning in the school. No, but in the order, it was more of determinations, and sometimes nagiging watered down or nagiging very theoretical, and there is really no accountability afterwards. So we have learned from secular management, so to speak, how to really focus, how to zero in on tasks, on goals, on responsibilities, on time frame, on resources. And then, as I said, the 10 radical proposals put by the Father General at the end of the General's report, we can summarize that into 8. Namely, how do we strengthen the charismatic identity and sense of belonging of the friars? Second is reviewing or revisiting our vocation ministry. How do we get our new vocations? Third, improving the formation teams and formation processes. The fourth, raising awareness of the importance of continuing formation, that each religious will take responsibility for continuing formation, and not only continuing formation as a religious, but particular, specific formation as an Augustinian recollect. And next would be, how do we revive the missionary spirit, especially by, through option for the peripheries, the human and the ecclesial peripheries. New approaches to pastoral ministry. Probably the answers are already mentioned, already done here, no? Itong service ng Recoletos Communications. And finally, the number 8th area would be, or proposal, would be educational apostolate as genuine platform for evangelization with the Tatak Recoleto. Just to repeat, the format of your suggestions must include formulation of decisions, no longer just insights or reflections, but talagang decisions, and then who are the persons responsible and in what time frame. No? The letter will also indicate that whether you are responding as individual or as groups of persons, please indicate the name and also the number. No? Kasi iba yung proposal ng isa, iba yung proposal shared by 20 people. So please indicate that, and you can please have them received by at the latest 24th of April. You can send through email, letter, fax by hand, and at this address, you will have that in the digital copy sent to those who have email addresses, and later on also printed. Now the questionnaire. There are two annexes, therefore. One is the restructuring, and the other is the LAMP. So there are three proposals that are put there in the letter of the Father General. By the way, that letter of Father General, Protocol 8, 2016, tells us the three proposals that the General and Council, together with the Fathers Provincial of the 8 provinces, agreed on last November, December, early December of last year on how to restructure the order. So that's one, restructuring, three proposals on the restructuring. And the second item there in that letter of Father General is for the religious of the provinces, for St. Ezekiel, to select two more delegates to the General Chapter. Alam po natin na Father Provincial, Father Selma, is ex officio participant of the chapter. And the last provincial chapter chose also Father Larlar as the provincial chapter's delegate. Now, there are two more delegates that are to be chosen. Regarding the brothers, one province is entitled to one delegate, brother, San Nicolas province. The 7 other provinces will select their own one brother delegate, and the general chapter from among these 7 will select 3. Last time it was Brother Tagoy who was selected by the General Council from among the 7 other brothers in the 7 provinces. Okay, so first proposal. What is the first proposal? Ito. So we are going into the restructuring of the order. I know that for most of the religious, this is the thing that is very much in attention. No? So the first proposal: suppress the existing provinces and create 4 new ones according to the criteria indicated in the Life and Mission Project. So the religious are asked, what advantages do you find in it? What problems and difficulties could arise? What challenges could that proposal, if approved, present? And also, what areas need to be considered in implementing this option? How is the process to be carried out? What timeline is to be followed? What decisions need to be taken at each step? And because there might be some implications to our constitutions or additional code, there is this question: what juridical and administrative observations are to be taken into account, and what revisions could these imply for our constitutional text? No? There might be people who are expert in the Constitution and say, "Ay, that proposal, that is against our Constitution." So the General Chapter has to be informed of all possible challenges, difficulties, implications, ramifications of the proposals. The next proposal, the second proposal, there are 3 options within second proposal. The basic second proposal is of the existing 8 provinces, retain only 4, namely the strong so-called provinces, numerically, mission-wise, and all that. No, so retain only the 4: Saint Nicholas, Candelaria Province, Saint Thomas Province, and Saint Ezekiel Province. Among the strong provinces. Okay. So in this proposal, basic proposal, there are 3 possible options. How do you pair them? So retain 4, and then the other 4 who are not so strong, you fuse them. So there are 3 possibilities of fusion. The first option in the second proposal, first option, ito, Saint Nicholas Consolation. Yun ang first pair. Second pair, Candelaria and Saint Joseph. Candelaria is Colombia. Saint Joseph is Spain, Venezuela, Peru, and where else? And Saint Thomas with Saint Rita. Saint Thomas is Spain, Argentina, Venezuela, where else? And Saint Rita is basically Brazil. And Saint Ezekiel, Saint Augustine. Kasi marunong tayo mag-English. I advanced it already na in the 3 options of the second proposal, Saint Ezekiel is always paired with Saint Augustine, for better or for worse. So in this second proposal, first option, the same questions, advantages, problems, difficulties, challenges, process of implementation, timeline, implications, second issue. Sa second proposal, option B. Again, so basic, strong provinces paired with another pairing would be Saint Nicholas, this time with Candelaria. Medyo malakas yan. Saint Nicholas with Saint Joseph. Candelaria with Consolacion. Saint Thomas with Saint Rita again. And then Saint Ezekiel with Saint Augustine. What are the criteria that are taken into consideration by the General Council and the provincials in this? The human criteria, no? Yung don't move so much, tapos yung mga ages, tapos yung geography. So there are criteria that were taken into account when these options and proposals were made. So same questions. And then the option C of that second proposal, the pairing will be Saint Nicholas, Saint Rita, Candelaria and Consolacion, Saint Thomas and Saint Joseph, again, Saint Ezekiel and Saint Augustine. So yung mga gustong pumunta sa States, medyo mapanatag na yung mga kalooban ninyo. If the third proposal wins, namely, each province shall decide on a project of viability and restructuring in agreement with the General Council and approved by the latter. I guess this is because some were saying the constitutions protect the provinces. That's why mahirap just anybody or even the John chapter 2 just do away with the provinces like that. So this came out medyo almost controversially. So the same questions about advantages, problems, and difficulties. Okay? So that is the restructuring process. Now let's go to the questions of the Life and Mission Project. This one is more of revitalization. That was restructuring. This is revitalization. How do we put into practice itong mga nice insights natin? Augustinian Recollect Identity. Let's get from the Father General's report. The English might not be exactly the same as that one because we had to make our hurried translation, while the copies that are going to, that you have received digitally and you will receive in print was translated sa States at they got somebody to translate it. Unfortunately, they did it quite on time naman. So there might be some differences in the translation, but basically the same information. Sabi ni Father General, we need to know, live and express with joy our Augustinian Recollect charism and the mission of the order. This is our way of following Christ. We're not going to follow Christ the secular way. We're not going to follow Christ the Jesuit way. We're going to follow Christ the Augustinian Recollect way. How do we do that? We have to know our charism. This is our way of living the spirituality and the whole of life itself. We need to strengthen communion and communication so as to reaffirm our identity and our service to the church. This is the church service that we are being asked as Augustinian Recollects. So questions, how do we recover the joy of what we are? And how do we express who we are with that very joy? So concrete, specific things we need to know. How can we strengthen communion and communication so as to reaffirm our Augustinian Recollect identity? Regarding vocation ministry, the Father General says, vocation ministry demands a culture that is rooted in the charism. In all the provinces of the order, we need teams that will animate the youth and get the communities involved. Knowing and implementing the vocation roadmap are urgent tasks. So the question, two questions. Review section H of the present Life and Mission Project. I think each religious has that, the old lamp of the order. Are the proposals enumerated therein sufficient for reactivating a vocation culture? What more can be done kung hindi man sufficient? Another question, what measures need to be taken so that the whole community, and not only the chaplain, not only the local vocation promoter, gets involved in the promotion of vocations? We've always been saying, dapat whole community, pero sometimes it's more of the lip service, and when actual work comes, the chaplain is left alone. So what measures need to be taken? Regarding initial formation, the General says, it is urgent and necessary to join forces so as to produce formative communities that accompany the formation processes in the spiritual, charismatic, academic, and pastoral aspects. It is necessary to implement the Augustinian Recollect formation itinerary or roadmap, if you want to put it that way. Question, how can we improve in the houses of formation each of the above mentioned aspects? How equip the formation agents better, and how improve the setup of real formation teams? After the initial formation, the religious are already formed, need to have continuous and particular or proper or OAR formation. Father General says, we need a program of continuous formation in the order that addresses the different stages and offers, along with knowledge, a lived experience. Hindi lamang knowledge, but a lived experience. We need brothers who are prepared and are devoted to the study of St. Augustine. Potts, Father Potts, can you hear me? And the order's history and spirituality. We need to form our formation agents and those in charge of vocation and youth ministry. We need specialists in sacred scripture, canon law, and other theological subjects. Questions. What means do you suggest to foster continuous formation? Which areas of specialization do you consider of priority so that we, Augustinian Recollects, can fulfill our mission in the church and in the world? Given that urgent pastoral concerns can sometimes arise that prevent religious who are prepared in specific academic fields to keep up with their research work, how do you think could pastoral service be reconciled with continuity in study? Regarding the service of governance, we need priors, Father John tells us, who commit themselves to serving the brothers, to joyfully assuming the responsibility of inspiring the charism and the mission, and to listening, praying, and seeking to discern the will of the Lord, to paying attention to the signs of the times, and to encouraging the brothers. Anecdotically, I can say that among the questions that the one in charge put there was, where do we find those priors? And then we scrap that question. Medyo sobra naman yung question na yun. So just, how do you prepare the priors in the fulfillment of their mission? And how form and involve the community in the sharing of responsibilities? Many times the prior feels he is alone. He has to make the decisions alone. So how do you make the community really take a responsibility in decisions? Option for the missions. Hindi na ito Father General, but Joy of the Gospel, Evangelii Gaudium. Pope Francis exhorts us to be a church that goes forth and heads for the periphery. All of us are asked to obey the Lord's call to go forth from our own comfort zone in order to reach all the peripheries in need of the light of the Gospel. So the question starts with, a reflection. Less than 6% of the religious are in the missions. Gentes. What decisions would strengthen and renew our presence in the missions? What decisions must be taken so as to consolidate our presence in frontier situations and to make this a priority in our life and mission project? Here in the Philippines, we have frontier situations, Kasyan, Tambo, Nagawan, and also in the urban settings. Rethinking the pastoral ministry. Malapit pong matapos ito. The order is called to endow the parishes we administer with an Augustinian Recollect style with which to enrich the people of God and the local churches. This service includes teamwork, witnessing to fraternal life in community, evangelizing those who have distanced themselves, solidarity with the poor, sharing the mission with the laity, forming lay groups, offering prayer, and promoting the lay fraternities, according to the Father General. What concrete actions have to be taken so that our parishes may follow the profile set by the Prior General in his reports? How ensure that our parishes are ministered from and by the community? Now, hindi lang parish priest who can say, I'll do this, I'll do that, but it is the community. And the parish priest carries the name of the community. And finally, the last item, educational apostolate. Our constitutions assure us that the educational apostolate is in harmony with the charism of the order. Additional Code 307. And Pope Francis exclaims that the work of education is today a crucial mission. I was at a loss how to translate because the original, there is no document about it, parang verbal itong sinabi ni Pope Francis, and he was speaking in Spanish and he was saying, clave. So it's a crucial mission to questions. How concretize the order's educational project so it can respond to the mission of evangelization as it is envisioned today in educational centers? What measures would strengthen the shared mission in such a way that the educative community could identify itself with our own charism, adopt the Augustinian pedagogy, and work with responsibility, competence, and passion? How make our students feel identified with Augustinian charism, the ray, vocation promotion, transmitting the faith? And finally, what must be developed and how so as to foment the social dimension of the educative task of our schools? How make our educational centers frontier ministries? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Father Rene Paglinawan. That's how intense the 55th General Chapter will be. Let us all pray for its success.
Now the 51st International Eucharistic Congress with the theme, Christ in You, Our Hope of Glory, has concluded. However, we know too well that the Eucharist offers us a continuing challenge for renewal. Today, to give us the IEC's theological perspective and pastoral challenges, let us all welcome the CBCP's Media Office Director, Monsignor Pedro Quitorio III. A round of applause, please.
Maraming salamat po. Last Monday, when Brother Tagoy called me up and he said, will you join us for the launching of the book that we published for the IEC? I said yes right away, without asking my topic. When he texted me the topic, I wanted to run. But it was too late. Kaya andito ako ngayon. I'm prepared to rumble. I could not refuse the Recollect Fathers because of what they have done for the International Eucharistic Congress. Can you imagine this? The success of our media work was partly or even mostly because of them. The participants, we have 32 religious who went there. We have 110 cultural performers who were there. And then we had 500 volunteers, students, staff in Cebu, and faculty. And most of all, we have 35 communications students who volunteered for social media. And then we have the fathers. We had 9 of them who removed their identity as Recoletos and placed in their t-shirt CBCP Media. So kung may naglalakad doon na nakalagay sa likod CBCP Media, they were actually the Recollect Fathers. And for that, I could not but appreciate and be very grateful to the bottom of my heart. Sobrang ginawa nila. That's why the book, I think, that will be launched after this is mostly the write-up of the fathers. Ang galing na pick up nila yung takbo ng International Eucharistic Congress. And that was the reason why the whole media work was, I think, I might be wrong, was a big success. We were, I think this is the only Eucharistic Congress since the beginning where the media work was so big and so massive. What is that? So massive. Imagine, we created a sariling TV station just for this. Sariling TV station, sariling channel, which was beamed to 13 global television network, not to mention the local, not to mention Signal TV. When you talk about evangelization and catechesis, you don't need copyrights. So, maraming salamat. Thank you very much. Who among you was present during the 1937 Eucharistic Congress? Nahiya lang. Wala na, ano? No more. Wala na. That was the 33rd International Eucharistic Congress held in Manila for the first time in Asia. It was held at the Luneta. It was very beautiful. There was also 1 million people. Over 1 million people. Cardinal Vidal was there. Rosales was there. They were kids then, during that time. They were there. And there were people who were interviewed who were present in that Eucharistic Congress. And in that Congress, ang daming mga pakulo. As you as Filipinos are Filipinos. Ang dami natin mga pakulo. There was a theme song na contest na yung siguro you're familiar with the theme song. No mas? Actually, that is not the theme song. That is the theme song. This one, No Mas Amor, was the second in the contest. But this has become popular than the first. Yung isa, yung una, hindi na naintindihan, hindi nakuha ng tao. Kaya, nothing happened. But in that Congress, I think we have achieved the goal, the objectives of us being Filipinos and us being Eucharistic in that Congress. In fact, the tag that has been with us since then about that Filipinos are Pueblo Amante de Maria was happened in that Congress. Started with that, and until today we still carry that tag, and it's very true because we are that actually. So very successful po yung Congress na yun, and